Parents, do you ever wonder if your kids are getting all the nutrition they need? One simple way to help. Give them 3 servings of dairy milk per day. Milk is simple, and it comes from just 3 ingredients: milk, vitamin A, and vitamin D. It's wholesome and naturally nutrient-rich, and it's very high in quality protein. 1 out of 2 kids don't get enough calcium, vitamin D, or potassium. Milk is one of the best sources for these essential nutrients. The American Academy of Pediatrics encourages dairy milk at most meals and water in between. Help give your kids the nutrition they need and serve milk at mealtime. To learn more, go to pourmoremilk.com. That's pourmoremilk.com. Little Passports is the perfect holiday gift for that curious kid on your list. With a subscription to Little Passports, kids get a fun-filled package each month designed to inspire their curiosity in geography, world cultures, or science. Little Passports is great for kids of all ages. Order today at littlepassports.com/Meg. That's littlepassports.com/Meg. For 30 plus years, I've seen every type of child grow up.
Instead of giving me what I wanted, she gave me what I needed, which was truth.
Don't let emotions win. Let truth win.
Do your very best, and you should have a lot of fun while you do it. And the better you get at something, the more fun you're going to have at something.
You moms and dads are wired with everything you need to be a parent to a great kid. Welcome to Parenting Great Kids. This is episode number 69, and I'm your host, Dr. Meg Meeker. I'm so excited about today's guest. She is an actress, author, and TV personality, and her name is Candace Cameron Bure. Candace is an actress who's best known for her role as DJ Tanner on the sitcom Full House. A multi-talented personality, Candace has donned various hats in her short career span as an actor, producer, author, and talk show panelist. In 2014, Candace appeared as a contestant in the reality show Dancing with the Stars. She finished in the top 3. Currently, Cameron stars in the Netflix spinoff Fuller House, reprising her role as DJ Tanner. Apart from working as an actor, Candace is an author as well. She's written 6 books, including the 2011 New York Times bestseller, Reshaping It All, Motivation for Physical and Spiritual Fitness, and Candace Center Stage, which is the topic of our conversation today. Candace is married to former Russian NHL hockey player Valery Bure. They have 3 children, daughter Natasha and sons Lev and Maxim. They reside in Southern California. As always in this episode, I'll share my points to ponder so you can start using them right away. And remember, parents, don't just download these episodes, click subscribe. When you do that, you are joining my parenting revolution, and every new episode will automatically show up in your subscribed list. You won't regret it. And we'd love for you to write us a review on iTunes and let us know what you think. Also, not only are we on iTunes, but the Parenting Great Kids podcast is available in the Google Play Store and on Stitcher. So no matter where you get your podcasts, subscribe today. Parents, have you ever experienced a meltdown with your kids and you didn't know how to handle it? Well, I did very recently with my granddaughter. We were in the grocery store. She wanted a box of Cheez-Its, and I said no. Then, cue the waterworks, screaming, kicking, and everything else you'd expect from a dissatisfied 4-year-old. Meltdown on aisle 14, and I needed to make a choice. What was my move? How was I going to handle it? Want to find out what I did? Do you want to learn how to handle meltdowns for yourself? Sign up for my free webinar to hear the rest of the story. I've prepared a webinar where we'll talk about the 3 discipline styles, how to discipline with love, the meltdown, the explosion, and when your child has withdrawn from you. Go to disciplinewebinar.com. You'll register for free and access a free discipline planning workshop. And if you want to buy the program, save $100 on my course, Discipline with Courage and Kindness, 3.0, disciplinewebinar.com. So parents, thanks for listening. This is episode number 69. Stay with us. Friends, I want you now to listen in on a conversation I had with Candace Cameron Bure. I know you're going to love it. Well, Candace, thank you so much for coming on my podcast. I'm really excited to talk to you today.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thanks for having me.
You bet. You have this awesome, fun, adorable new book out for kids, Candace Center Stage. And you know, what I loved about the book is it's a welcome delight, you know, in a culture that, is pushing kids to be so good at everything and perfect at everything. And, you know, maybe parents won't say you need to get A's and you need to be the star of your soccer team, but kids always feel that message. So, you know, Candace Center Stage really challenges that, and it's just delightful. For any of our listeners, because it's a brand new, fresh book, just came out, who aren't familiar, can you give us just a quick synopsis of your book?
Oh, sure. So Candace is a little girl that has a big personality.
Yes.
And she thinks in this story that she is such a great dancer. And when her mom decides to put her in ballet lessons, she learns very quickly that she's not quite as good as everyone else. And she needs a little extra help and she needs to practice a little harder, but she wants to quit because it's hard. And her mom says, no, you can't quit. You got to keep working hard and do it. And through the end of the story, she does work hard and complete the recital. And she's not the best ballerina, not even at the end of it, but she actually helps some of the other girls just by being herself and encouraging them not to be scared and just to go out and try, even if they're not perfect at it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the message that I love because, you know, we really as parents want to encourage our kids to just go for it. You know, we all say, well, I don't care if my child is good or bad at something. I want them to have fun. But we kind of don't mean that. You know, we want our kids to be good and have fun. So that's why I think the book is so refreshing because she's just a character. She's full of life. One of the other things that I love about Candace Center Stage, because obviously I've read and seen a lot of children's books, and I would say the majority of children's books that I see are not age appropriate. In other words, the illustrations may be targeted for a 5-year-old, but the language and the amount of text is really for a 9-year-old. And that can be frustrating for me. But your book doesn't do that. It's age appropriate for the text as well as the illustrations. How did you know how to do that? Because that's an art.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and this book is geared towards 4 to 8-year-olds. And I will say, I, of course, had the help of my publishing team and the editors that helped coach me along the way, knowing the story that I wanted to write and the amount of words that it would need to be written in. And I've written I have 5 other published books that are geared towards adults.
Yeah.
They're trade books. So this was my first children's book that I wrote, and it absolutely is a different process because I learned that every single word is so valuable, not that it isn't in trade books, but I can ramble on and add a couple paragraphs here and there if I want to.
Yeah.
And every word in a children's book has to be meaningful and specific. And then it does have to match the illustrations. And I was so particular about it. I have a wonderful illustrator, Christine Batus, that drew the photographs. I mean, I was going back and forth to make sure that every expression on the characters' faces were matching what my words were matching and to convey the overall message. So thank you for appreciating it. I'm glad I did a great job, and I definitely had the help of my editing team that was helping me make it the best that it could be.
Well, the illustrations are fabulous.
They're so cute. They have a little like hidden. So Harry is a little pet hamster. It's Candace's pet hamster. And he's hidden in every page of the book, which I love. Sometimes he's really easy to spot. And sometimes he's hiding in her hair or in a backpack, or he's just a cute little sidekick. I feel like every time you read the book, you'll find something new that reveals itself in the photos, in the illustrations.
You know, and it's funny, for a children's book, and it's not a long book. I mean, children's books can't be long. It's packed with so much fun and some great lessons, and it's happy and it's upbeat, even though it's a message about telling kids to pursue and to work hard and push through. It kind of doesn't feel like it when you're reading it because she's so doggone happy. She's just really cute. Let's talk about with the book, a few of the deeper messages that you wanted to convey to children. You wanted to, and I think when you convey them to children, you convey them to their parents as well.
I agree.
Of course, you wanted to show kids how to persevere and push through. What other lessons were you trying to teach through Candace?
Well, that it's okay. It's okay to fail. And just to try. That's something that I learned in my adult years. And I wish I had learned it earlier in life. But man, I'm so glad that I had people encouraging me and saying, it's okay, just go for it. Doesn't matter if you're not great at it. Mm-hmm. Try, because then you'll never know what you're capable of. And that was always, and the hard work in itself was always taught to me by my mom and dad. That was one of his biggest messages to us. I have 2 sisters and a brother. When we were growing up, was just hard work, because you'll never appreciate what you are doing if you don't work for it yourself, or you won't appreciate the accomplishments. So that was something I really wanted to talk about, was working hard and not taking advantage of the things that can be given to you, because there really is such gratification and pride in a good way when you've earned something yourself and you've worked for it. But with that being said, it's okay if what you work hard for doesn't work out for you. If it's maybe not your thing, but you'll never discover it unless you give it a go. And I was on Dancing with the Stars, and I ended up coming in 3rd place on that show. And that was a bit of the inspiration in writing this book, because I had Candace in dance class, and I certainly on that show was not the best dancer. I honestly don't even know how I got to 3rd place, aside from having very loyal fans that were voting for me, because I really wasn't the best at it. But I pushed through so many of my fears just to be on that show, and because it was such a scary time, but it was so rewarding and so fulfilling, just knowing that I did my best.
Well, I know that. I was going to bring that up, and I was going to ask if that experience inspired you to write about Candace, the little ballerina. But that took a tremendous amount of guts on your part. For me personally, even just forget the dancing, just getting in one of those costumes and going on national television. I mean, that would terrify 99% of the women in the country anyway. But you did really well. And would you do it over again?
That's a good question. I have to say, I'm so glad that I did it. But if they asked me to be on that show again, like I think I'd say no, because I know how not only how much work it takes, but how scared I was. That was such a fearful show for me, just because it's live television and you're performing. And I was having moments of knowing everything and then completely blanking out when it was time to go. Oh. It was like my fears literally would get the best of me during the live shows, and I had such anxiety. So when the show was all over, I'm like, whoa, that grew me in confidence and in ways I had no idea I needed to grow, but I don't think I ever want to do that again, like that specifically. So I'm a huge fan and advocate for that show. I've had several friends that have been on it since I was on it. And I have one friend, Juan Pablo de Pachi, who is on Fuller House, and he's competing on it this season. So I am like right there to cheer him on and encourage him. And I love watching the show every night, but I'm like, but no thanks. I don't want to be out there dancing again.
I've always admired the actors and actresses or professionals who go on and are trained by the professional dancers, because it looks so hard. I mean, the grueling, the training and everything. everything. And the truth is, from the beginning of the show to the end of the show, you and all the other dancers improved tremendously. I mean, those instructors must be really good.
Oh, they're incredible. They're so good. I mean, they know their stuff. They not only teach you how to dance, but they're choreographing all the dances that you're doing. So they are tremendous talents and wonderful people with great personalities. So it really, like, you're a very lucky person to be asked to be on that show. And that's why it's been so successful for so many years, because it's one of those once in a lifetime experience shows that you don't realize how much you're going to get out of it until you do it.
So Candace Center Stage is sort of like a real reflection of you and your life in a way. Well, I mean, she's Candace, but the whole idea of, even though you're afraid and even though you know you may not win, now you were a better dancer than she is. Of course, she's not real and you're real, but I love that lesson of pushing through. And I think so many times as parents, we encourage our kids to push through, and we say, you know, was it Winston Churchill who said, never, 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 you know, give up? But we feel that, okay, if we pick ourselves up, eventually we'll be successful and win. But what Candace Center Stage and what you're talking about with Dancing on the Stars is, pick yourself up, face your fears, persevere. And even if you don't come out the top dog, that is huge success in and of itself.
Absolutely. I think so. And, you know, even though writing this little book, it certainly reflects part of my life, but I'm a mother of 3 kids, and my kids are older now. They're 20, 18, and 16 years old. But the little Candace in the book has a lot of my own daughter's personality more than my own. So my daughter has a big personality, and she's very confident in so many ways, but in parenting her, and different from my other 2 boys, Natasha has always wants to be number one, and has had a hard time that if she knows she's not going to be number one, she doesn't even want to try. She doesn't want to start, or she wants to quit. So like when she was younger, she played tennis for so many years, and I could watch her as a parent that when she knew she was playing against someone that was better than her, she would start to just throw the game because she's like, I know I'm going to lose, so I don't even want to try. And it was like, no, baby, that's not how it works. You gotta keep trying, because that will make you a better player. And so there's so much of my own daughter's personality that I learned how to parent her and encourage her in ways that would grow her. So I find myself that in writing these books, I'm actually influenced much more as a mother in writing them than my own personality as a child.
Oh, that's wonderful. How, as a mother, because there are a lot of listeners out there who'll say, what Natasha did, boy, my child does that too. They sabotage themselves because they really believe failure's around the next corner. How did you train your daughter beyond that? How did you help her just to persevere and not worry about failing if she was going to fail?
Well, I mean, some days it was really difficult, but we wouldn't let her quit. And that's one of the messages I put in the book. And trust me, she would try all the time to quit. And we just said, no, you have to stick to it. And if you eventually don't want to do this, if it's at the end of a season, then that's fine. You can make another choice. But we also would encourage her and help her see the benefits or the positive things that she was doing, even when she was focusing on the self-negative things. And again, it was always about like, you don't have to be number one and you don't have to be the best, but you got to be the best you that you can be. But it's okay if someone's better than you. And so listen, she still has that fighter personality, and she's 20 years old now, and I couldn't love it more. I'm like, she is a strong, confident young woman, but it can be hard as a parent to channel that type of personality. I mean, you kind of know, or hope and pray that when they get older, they're going to use that strength for good, which my daughter has developed that. But it's certainly a challenging personality when they're younger.
Well, and it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a tremendous amount of work. I think parents think, well, this is who they are and they just want to quit, and that's okay. Eventually, when they get older, they'll realize that's not what you do, but that's not the way it goes.
No.
I mean, you really have to push for the good character qualities in your kids and to get them to persevere because it's not natural. You have worked, it seems, all your life. You were a childhood star in Full House. Now, how has it been for you as a child, when you were a child, working so hard? Because if we would just look at your life, you go, there's no failure in your life at all. Did you ever experience failure in Hollywood as a child?
Oh, sure. I absolutely did. And that was on a almost day-to-day thing, because when you're an actor, whether you're a child or an adult, and I don't do this now in my career because I'm at a different point in my career where I collaborate and am asked to work on things. But when you're starting out, you have to audition. So you are constantly feeling rejected because you may audition for 20 things before you book one. And so even as a child, I would go on auditions after school almost every day.
Oh, wow.
And but my mom was always great. She would just be like, go on the audition, do your best, and forget about it. Just don't think about it. And then if they do call back or you book the job, then it's a pleasant surprise. But my mom was very good in that way in helping me focus that it wasn't about getting the job itself. Yeah. So I wasn't always worried about it, but certainly there were things that I would want, a part that I would want to get, or it was a TV show that I was excited to be on if I got that part, and you simply don't get everything that you try for. So you experience a lot of rejection being a child actor, but unlike the little girl Candace in my book, my personality, I was a very compliant child. And I think that's why I worked so well as a child actor, because I loved pleasing people. I loved doing a good job, and any direction that you would give me or tell me to do, I was very happy to do it and would do my best to complete that. And so I had kind of a much more passive, but eager to please type of personality.
That can be tough if you're living in the environment that you were living in, because
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I really do understand rejection, but my parents did a very good job of helping me channel that. And certainly in my adult career, I've experienced a lot of that. I mean, even career in the entertainment industry, even if you're not in politics, can turn very political. So I've experienced my fair share of like, no, we don't want you on our show because you have strong religious beliefs, or, we're just not, you're not the kind of person we want for whatever reason. So there's still a lot of rejection even when you're successful, because politics can come into play.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about that as well, because you're an outspoken Christian, and we're living in a culture that's very unaccepting of Christians and put Christians down a lot. And you're living in a little microcosm of that, which is even more intense, more criticism and more anti-Christianity than, Idaho or Nebraska or even Michigan, where I live. How have you navigated that as a Christian in a culture that doesn't like Christians?
Well, the truth is, only by the grace of God have I been able to do that. But I grew so much in my faith when I was a stay-at-home mom for 10 years. Right when I had my children, I decided not to work and be a full-time stay-at-home mom. But in that time, I developed so much in my relationship with God, and grew roots in the foundation of my faith. So when I came back to work about 10 years ago, that was always my focus. I'm like, hey, I would love to go back to work. I love the entertainment industry because I love being an artist and I love my craft and I love being creative, but I'm not willing to compromise who I am in Christ to do that. So if it works out, I'm going to do it with these boundaries. And if I can't do it with those boundaries, then that's just not what God has planned for me. And that was always my perspective. And the cool thing about it, and I say cool because I think God's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And not just because he, gives us things we want, but I've prayed over every aspect of my life and my family and my career. And I feel like I've tried to be as faithful to him and my career. And I feel like he's blessed that because of it. And so, I have found that because I was outspoken about my faith and wouldn't compromise, it ended up catching people's attention. And I also like to think it was because I was kind in the process about it, not trying to push it on people, not trying to be belligerent or rude or convert people to think the way I think. I've always wanted to have respectful conversations and understand people and listen to people. And yet I would like my voice to be heard as well too. And we don't have to agree at the end of the day, but let's talk about it. And that's what makes the world go round. And let's understand each other and what our perspectives can be and what how our circumstances may have influenced us in our lives and our worldviews. And so because of that, I feel like, that's why I was asked to be a co-host on The View. And because I was not afraid to talk about my faith and I believe it strongly. And so in the best of ways, because I've been outspoken about it, it has actually helped my career. Not that I've ever used my faith to gain my career, but I feel like it was really honored and I'm grateful for it. But I also there's a lot of backlash with it too. And you got to have thick skin. And some days I want to go cry. I want to curl up and cry because it just hurts my heart when people don't understand the whole picture of where I'm coming from. And other days I just thank God for the platform that I have that hey, I can read scripture and share my Bible on Instagram. And if people want to listen to it, they do. And if they don't, they can fast forward. But I know that I'm putting out a good word and positivity, and that makes me happy and feel like I'm honoring God.
Well, that's wonderful. I think that Christians have been branded as very judgmental, narrow-minded people who just want to go around and tell everybody what to do and how wrong they are. And nothing could be further from the truth. Unfortunately, a lot of those voices who have big platforms in the Christian world are doing just that. So how wonderful to have a Christian who has a big platform, but really understands, Christ's commandments to love the Lord your God and to love your neighbor as yourself, and then once we get those right, then we can go on to the other, but we usually have it backwards. And what I'm hearing, your messages, not just in what you do on The View, but in your nice book, Candace Center Stage, is that, look, our first responsibility is to come and to listen to people and to try to understand people and to love them and be kind. That sounds really easy, but in fact, it's one of the hardest things that people have to do, let alone Christians have to do, which we're commanded to do.
It is so true. It's hard. That's why I wrote another book called Kind is the New Classy, because even though being kind really is a simple thing, but it takes so much effort because we inherently are selfish people. Right. And we do have to be reminded to think of others first and to be kind. But I tell you, kindness has such a ripple effect, and it really doesn't take much to be kind to someone. And it can not only change you, but changes every single person you come in contact with. And that ripple effect goes on because when someone receives kindness, they are usually kind to the next person, and it goes on and on and on.
It definitely has a ripple effect. And I love what you said. It is very, very simple, but like loving someone, it's simple. We understand it in our head, and yet it's one of the hardest things that human beings do because it is so counter to what our natural instincts say. Our natural instincts say, watch out for yourself, particularly in a place like Los Angeles where you live in a very competitive environment. Watch your own back. Don't let people take advantage of you. So being kind requires a certain amount of vulnerability because you can extend kindness and get the door shut in your face. And that's why I don't understand how people who don't have a faith in God can be kind authentically over and over and over, because you do get rejected when you're kind to other people. And why in the world would you keep doing it in the face of that if you didn't have God saying, yeah, but I want you to keep going?
I know. I agree with you. I don't understand how people can be kind continuously without God either, because I know I need God's grace every day, and to be reminded of that and know that I hate to say is my job, but I'm commanded to do that. I'm commanded, and I realize and recognize that my attitude with every person I come in contact with is going to have some kind of lasting effect on their day. It might be for a few minutes, but it may carry on with them for several days, depending on what my interaction is. But when you train yourself, it's just like a habit. When you continually practice something and retrain yourself, it will become a habit and will become more natural to you to respond in the way in which you want. You won't have to think about it quite as much when you continually practice it. And I wish that and hope that our outrage culture that we live in will creep back into a kindness culture. That's the message I am trying to share with everyone as well. And I know it's not easy. I have my days. We all do.
But we all have our days. But you're absolutely right. Everybody knows, and we hear kindness is kind of like a buzzword amongst parents too. I want my child to be kind. I want my child to be kind. And yet, if you look at the evolution of how people and kids treat one another over the past 15 years, it's going completely away from that. We are living in a culture where we've never been so polarized. Kids are being bullied and schooled. Social media can beat kids up, particularly young girls. There's this vitriol that goes back and forth. And so that's why I think your message is really, really critical. And I think that as parents read this book to their kids, hopefully it's going to convict them that, gee whiz, if I want to treat my child to be kind, I've got to train myself, because it really is a training. I mean, you have to train yourself intentionally to be kind, because it's really very hard. Parents, I hope you're enjoying my conversation with Candace Cameron Bure. We need to take a quick break, but don't you go anywhere. We'll be right back with more of my conversation with Candace Cameron Bure. When you're putting in time at the gym, who has time to spend hours in the kitchen? Now you can fuel your workouts and nourish your body with easy-to-prepare meal kit delivery from Sunbasket. Sunbasket makes it easy and convenient to cook healthy, delicious meals at home, no matter how much experience you have in the kitchen. And friends, I love to cook, and I eat Sunbasket all the time. Here's what I love about Sunbasket. First, they give you all the ingredients you need to prepare a wonderful gourmet-type meal. They have spice mixes. They have unusual vegetables. They give you the exact amount of meats that you need. And everything is always fresh, and they're so easy to prepare. There are 18 weekly recipes to pick from, with options for paleo, gluten-free, lean and clean, vegan, diabetes-friendly, and more. And you can mix and match depending upon your personal nutritional needs. Sunbasket ships fresh, organic produce and responsibly raised meats and seafood directly to your door. Plus, each meal is ready to whip up in as little as 15 minutes. The best part? Sunbasket is delivered with pre-portioned ingredients and clear nutrition information. So you never have to think about eating healthy. You can just do it. And I want to add that all of the packaging of Sunbasket is 100% recyclable. And I love that about Sunbasket meals. Go to sunbasket.com/Meg today to learn more and get $35 off your first order. I promise you won't regret trying Sunbasket. That's sunbasket.com/Meg to get $35 off your order today. Sunbasket.com/Meg. KiwiCo creates super cool hands-on projects for kids that make learning about science, technology, engineering, art, and math fun. I have used KiwiCo for my 2-year-old grandson, my 4-year-old granddaughter, and my 5-year-old granddaughter. And I love KiwiCo. It's so fun. They have packages that you open up and you play with all the age-appropriate toys that are sent to you. KiwiCo's mission is to provide the next generation of innovators with the tools and foundation they need to become creative problem solvers and critical thinkers. With 5 different types of project, there's something for kids of all different ages, from age 2 to 3, all the way through ages 9 to 16 plus. They create hands-on projects for kids that are not only super fun, but also educational in a really cool way. KiwiCo wants kids to be fearless innovators. They design projects to help them develop their creativity. KiwiCo delivers convenience. Absolutely everything needed to build a project is in the box, which means no extra trips to Target or the craft store. Gifting a KiwiCo subscription to the kid in your life will make them smarter and quite possibly make you their favorite person. KiwiCo is offering Parenting Great Kids with Dr. Meg Meeker listeners the chance to try them for free. To redeem this offer and learn more about their projects for kids, visit KiwiCo.com/Meg. Again, that's KiwiCo.com, KiwiCo.com/Meg to try KiwiCo for free. I would like to talk about you as a mom for a few minutes. Now, you made a very bold decision a number of years ago when your kids are little that you were going to put your career on hold, very high profile, successful career, which must have been hard to say no to because you wanted to stay home and parent your kids. You had friends or colleagues. It's interesting. I did the same thing in medicine. I finished my training and I said, I'm going to be home with my kids. And my colleague, very much like yours, said, if you do that, your career is over. Mm-hmm. Did people tell you that at the time?
Yeah. I had a couple of great people around me that were saying, yes, do what you need to do. That's great. If that's the new season in your life, go for it. But I certainly had a lot of industry people like agents and, casting directors and networks saying, you're crazy to stop. You're at the height of a successful show. You're coming off of that. If you leave now, everyone's going to forget about you and you may never have a career again. Because the entertainment industry is quite fickle in that way, and they decide when they want you and when they don't. And I can't say it was a tough decision because I just knew that I wanted to be home with my children. So in that way, I was just confident that I was making the right choice for me and my husband and our family. I had no doubt. I was like, this is what I'm going to do. But in saying that, the transition was a whole other experience. It was not an easy transition for me to go from a full-time working person to a full-time stay-at-home mom.
Oh, there's nothing easy about it. I will confess when I did it, I went from working, 80 hours a week to being home full-time. And I don't like to say I went from a working mom to a non-working mom because every mom's a working mom. Some are paid and some aren't, But really, I went into a deep bout of depression for about 6 months during my transition because out in the world, and I imagine it was very much like that for you too, you do your craft well, you love your craft, you're focused on your craft, it's who you are. And then you leave that behind and then you're home and you're kind of, I was just floundering, and then I felt really guilty because I loved my kids. I chose to be home full time as you did, but it's hard. And nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about how hard it is to be a stay-at-home mom and how hard it is to go from working to being a stay-at-home mom. But that's a huge transition and it's really hard. How long did it take you to kind of get in the groove of being a stay-at-home mom?
I think about 2 years to surrender to motherhood. That's what I call it. And everything that you just said resonates with me. And I felt exactly the same way. Loved my children, wanted to be there. But when you're in the workplace, you're being told almost on a daily basis, hey, good job, or maybe not a good job, or you have to improve in this, but you're kind of doing it you get accolades for it. You get praise. You get a pat on the back when you do a job well done. And your babies aren't giving you that. And it's like the hardest work you'll do.
Yeah, and you get money. I mean, it's all good.
Yeah.
And then you're home with kids who just sort of look at you and make a mess and seem to not appreciate you. And it feels very much like a thankless job when you're used to being thanked all the time. And so, yeah, I think it's really hard. But I do think that, and we don't talk about this either, that parenthood, motherhood, being a really good mom requires sacrifice. Now, I'm not saying to every working mom, you need to be home full time at all. But I'm saying in some ways, in some parts of our life, sacrifice is really crucial to being a good parent. But nobody really talks to us about the sacrifice of our time, of our energy, of our sleep, of our money, of whatever. And I think that sometimes young moms will hit the skids thinking, wait a minute, this isn't the way it's supposed to be, but it really can be very grueling. At the beginning of the show, we were talking about perseverance. And I think that if there's any place we really need to encourage people to persevere, it's in motherhood, because so many times it is not what we thought we signed up for.
Oh, I know. I so agree with you. I have debated for so many years with my husband just on perspective when you talk about sacrifice, because I like the word sacrifice. And I think, and not in a negative way, but I think there's sacrifice on my part. And it doesn't mean I don't want to be here with my children. I absolutely want to, but I am sacrificing an art that I love, a career that I do enjoy, my sleep, my time. Even though I love it, it is a sacrifice. And my husband would always say, it's not a sacrifice. If you want to be there, there's nothing sacrificial about it. It's what we should be doing. It's what we're there. And I'm like, okay, I just have a different perspective than you, at least on the word that way.
It's interesting that your husband would say that, because my response to what he said is very much like yours. You can love something and want it very badly and like it, but it's still going to require something from you. It's going to require your time or your energy, or certainly some amount of pain on some level, physical or emotional or intellectual, whatever. And so, but that's good. I mean, I think that that's really good, because that's what makes you better at what you're doing, as a mom, as an actor, as a professional, whatever you're doing, to feel like we're just going to slide into this role. And I think that people could look at from the outside at your life and go, oh, come on. Your life is just lovely. You're lovely. You were a kind kid on TV. You're a kind adult. How in the world could you have had a hard life? But being a mom, a stay at home, let me ask you, physically and emotionally and mentally, and I'm putting you on the spot here, which do you feel was harder for you, being a stay-at-home mom or a professional actor?
I think probably, I want to say, mentally, the transition to be stay-at-home mom after being a working person for so many years, that was my biggest challenge. It was mental. Mm-hmm. And that's why I say when I surrendered to motherhood, because it had to be much more of a mindset for me, because I knew I wanted to do it and I was physically capable to do it and emotionally connected to my children. But my mindset had to change, that what I was doing, even though I wasn't getting paid for it, even though I wasn't getting accolades for it, that it was still as valuable, if not more valuable, mm-hmm. than what I was doing before. Mm-hmm. And that was a whole mindset for me. Mm-hmm. When I work outside of my home, when I'm going to my paid job, it's very physically demanding. It can be mental and emotional. It's right. Kind of everything. Right. I'm a grinder. I work hard. I don't have much rest, and that's come about in the later years, these last few years that I've been working, but there's a lot, and it's just different. And what helped me so much being a mom, and still a mom today, I'm a mom of older teens, but life is so seasonal. And when I understood that, especially when my children were younger, and I'm like, this isn't going to last forever. So no matter what I'm feeling at the moment or at that time, whether it's a few years or 5 years, it's still going to be seasonal, because we grow and we change and our children grow, and the season of their life, whether they haven't started school yet, and then they do start school, well, then it's middle school, high school. Those are all seasons, and they look very different, and they put different strains on you, but different pleasure that you gain from it, different connections. And it's wonderful. But when you realize nothing's going to last forever in terms of the intensity of it or the stress, that you might be feeling at the moment, like that's not going to be there forever, because you're going to enter a new season.
Well, and I think that's particularly hard to understand when you have small children.
Yes.
Because you think this is never going to end. These temper tantrums are going to go on forever. My child is just a little monster and nothing's going to change. And I think also, when you're a mom or a dad of young children, you don't have the perspective, because you don't get to see them change. You feel like you're stuck in time, and you feel like, this is the way things always going to be. And I think that a lot of younger mothers now feel the sense that I've got to keep doing everything right now, like keep my job going and keep on top of my career and spend as much time with my kids as I can. I need to get it all done now, because they don't see what you and I have seen, which is it is a season and it does change. And then all of a sudden your kids are grown. And when they're grown, you have, God willing, all of this time ahead of you mm-hmm. to really kick back into gear. And if you can do it in a place as ruthless as Hollywood, we can do this. And I think we just need to not lose sight of that we need to just sort of take a big, deep breath and sort of let things roll by and not worry so much about getting everything done right now, because it's all going to stop. It doesn't.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I talked a lot about that. One of my books was called Balancing It All, because it was one of the biggest questions I would get. How do you balance it all? And I have said what you just said. Listen, we can have a lot of plates spinning, but they don't need to be spinning all at the same time. It's okay. You put a few down. You can pick them back up later. And that's what the seasons of life is all about. So especially when you're a young mom, don't try to do it all. You don't need to have the perfect body right now. You don't have to be in the gym every day. Everyone looks at me and goes, oh, I love fitness. I posted a lot on social media. And I think to myself, yes, but my kids are older. I'm in my 40s. It's, I found my love of fitness in my 30s, but I had my babies when I was 22, 23, and 25 years old. I'm like, I'm not focusing on fitness while they're teeny tiny little babies. I didn't focus on that until they were all older. So you don't need to have it all at the same time, and don't put the pressure on yourself, because it's only going to make it such a struggle, and you can pick it up anytime you want.
You really can. And I just think that a lot of the mothers that I see in my practice, and I'm sure a lot of the mothers, the younger mothers that you encounter with your work and life and friendship, put so much pressure on themselves to be these hyper performers. And what I really want the women who are listening to you right now is to hear you are a very accomplished professional actor, and you've done some extraordinary things. But there is a time for one thing and a time for other things. And balance to you, it seems to me, looks like you did one thing really intensely, acting, and then you stopped and you did motherhood, probably pretty intensely, because if you are a hard worker, I'm sure you worked really hard at that. And then you go on with your craft again. So sometimes balance, and I'm sure you go into this in your book, but everybody should read the book too. I'd love to read the book. I love the cover. Aren't you holding a bunch of plates and on one leg or something like that on the cover of the book? But balance isn't always doing 8 things at once. Sometimes it's doing them in sequence. And that's all good. But for mothers to just kind of, let themselves off the hook a little bit. And I really think you are a great spokesperson for that, because it seems to me you get it. That's how you've lived your life, is you get it. And you've sort of grabbed the best part of each season of life. And you don't live with, well, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Do you have regrets of some of the transitions, like being home full time? Do you have any regrets about that?
I don't at all. I mean, you have said it perfectly, and you could put words into my mouth, because I think you understand exactly how I've tried to live my life and the messages that I've tried to convey to other people. But I have no regrets, because I've recognized that within each season that I have put all my work and intensity into, no matter what that season was, I've grown from it. And I am the woman that I am today because of it. So I can't look back on anything and think, oh, I wish I didn't do that, or I wish I made another choice. And I believe that God has us in the season we're supposed to be in at the moment. Even if it doesn't feel like it to you, I don't think there are any surprises, or in the sense that, like, God surprised. Oh, I didn't mean for you to be there, but you are.
Whoopsie. God doesn't say oops. Yeah.
He doesn't say oops. So I think we're exactly where we should be. And if we embraced that, it might help our perspective a little more to go, oh, I'm where I should be, and I'm going to do this where I am well right now, even if it's maybe not where I thought I should be, or even where I wanted to be right now, but let me take it for what it is and be the best in the season that I can. And just know that, again, it's a season. It's gonna change.
Well, and to borrow a phrase that a lot of psychologists are using now, to be present in that season.
Yes.
As we try hard to be present with our children and another person, to embrace it and say, this is where I am. I'm 26, I'm 30 years old, I have this baby. I'm not going to the gym because I'm too tired, and be fine with that. Because you've got, 60 years ahead of you. You can go to the gym, God willing, if you get there. Well, Candace, this has been delightful. And, the book we were talking about, Candace Center Stage, is absolutely fabulous. And I think we all need to be a little more like Candace, and we just need to dance more.
I love that.
Enjoy life. When you look at the cover of this book, it makes you happy. And it's just a delightful book. Are you going to write more children's books?
I am. I've already written the next one.
Can you tell us when it's going to be released?
I don't know, actually. I don't have the date of the second release. I've written the book and it's being illustrated right now. And, but I think my guess is maybe spring of next year. And, but I'm excited. I hope this will be a long line of Candace's adventures, because I have many stories and lessons for Candace to learn in her growing years.
Yeah. Well, as I like to always say, authors write books. This is certainly true for me, because we have a problem we need to figure out. So we work it out in the book and we go, okay, good. Now I've got it.
Yes.
And, but that'll be wonderful to write a Candace series, because she certainly has a lot, to teach people. And it's just it's such a wonderful book. And as I said, I love that it's totally age appropriate. For this, you said 5 to 8. Is that right? That's
4 to
right.
8.
4 to
Yeah,
8.
4 to 8.
Okay, 4 to 8. And I know there are a lot of parents and grandparents and foster parents, aunts and uncles, who would love to give this to one of their to a friend to read to their kids, or just give it right to the kid. If anybody wants to follow you or learn more about what you're up to, how can people contact you, Candace?
Yeah, well, I'm on social media, so you can find me on Instagram and Facebook and even Twitter. I'm most active on Instagram and Facebook, though. And my name on there is Candace C. Bure. But you could just Google my name and those things will pop up. But you can always find all the information there about everything that I'm doing. And I love to interact on social media with people. So it's a fun place for me.
Wonderful. Well, you're obviously very good at it. And I do think that writing a Candace series is a real sweet spot for you. So I look forward to the future books that you have coming out.
Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for joining me, Candace. God bless you. This has just been a real delight to talk to you.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me on the show. It was a really great conversation, so I really enjoyed it.
Now on to my points to ponder. 1, teach children perseverance, not just winning. In this day of parenting, with so many parents focused on helping children excel at sports and grades and music, it's very hard for parents to pull back and change their focus onto character development rather than just winning. Many parents say, I just want my child to have fun playing hockey, soccer, whatever. But the truth is, their behavior says something entirely different. You know parents like this, and maybe you're one of them. They go to every practice, game, and talk about the child's sport endlessly. At games, they scream from the sidelines. And while parents may think they're showing enthusiasm, from the child's standpoint, those kids feel pressure to excel and do well on the field, on the stage, in the classroom, wherever. Some kids have even said to me, the only time I get attention from my parents is when I play sports. So rather than continuing to focus on encourage our kids to excel, we need to help them take risks when it comes to trying new things. Will they be bad at them? Maybe, but learning to try and persevere builds a far more successful adult than simply being good at everything a child does. 2, kindness and perseverance don't come naturally. These need to be taught. Correction, modeling to them, and sitting down and discussing why these things matter. Many parents believe that kids are either born nice and kind or they're born selfish and mean. This isn't true. Yeah, kids are born with unique personalities, and being selfless and kind comes more naturally to some kids than to others. We parents need to remember that we must nurture kindness in kids, whether they're born with a little bit or not. Developmentally, kids go through many stages where they're naturally more self-absorbed, and this is important. During the teen years. This makes them less kind than they should be. So regardless which stage of development our kids are in, it's important to constantly show them and teach them how to be kind to others. 3, read to your kids. Let's face it, when we get tired, we parents often resort to turning on the television or pull up a show on our iPad. Now, there's nothing wrong with this occasionally, but we got to remember that if we want our kids to learn to like books, we have to read to them. We don't need to read for long periods at a time. And if your child won't sit still, put a book on tape on. You can do this in the car, around the house, when you're getting ready for dinner, when you're getting ready in the morning. And if you have young children at home, sit down with them and read books while they sit on your lap. Find good picture books. Don't have to have a lot of words. Find these for young kids and interesting age-appropriate fiction for older kids. Not only will this teach your kids to love reading, you will have a closer relationship with them. I want to thank my guest, Candace Cameron Bure. Check out her website at CandaceCameronBure.net. Once again, CandaceCameronBure.net. She's on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Just search for Candace Cameron Bure on your internet browser. So let's recap my points to ponder. 1, teach children perseverance, not just winning. 2, kindness and perseverance don't come naturally. And 3, read to your kids. And friends, don't forget to check out my free webinar and my new course, Discipline with Courage and Kindness 3.0. So always remember, until next time, parents, great kids are raised, not born.
Hey, this is Bobby, producer of Meg Meeker's Parenting Great Kids podcast. We hope you've enjoyed listening to episode 69, Candace Center Stage. And thanks to you, Dr. Meg's Parenting Revolution has grown to over 2 million downloads. You can like Dr. Meeker on Facebook and follow her on Twitter and Instagram at Meg Meeker MD. As a reminder, go to megmeekermd.com and sign up for her newsletter for giveaway opportunities and updates. And don't forget to share the podcast, write us a review, and click subscribe so you won't miss an episode.